Erev Pesach is less than 2 weeks away, and this year, Erev Pesach is unique in that it falls out on Shabbos. Very rare, but does happen. But even when Erev Pesach does not fall out on Shabbos, it's still considered to be a very special day, and different than the other Erev Yomim Tovim, because it's considered to be a Yom Tov. So as opposed to Erev Rosh Hashanah, or Erev Sukkot, or Erev Shavuos, all of which get their uniqueness or specialness from the fact that the Chag, the Yom Tov, begins that night after, Erev Pesach is considered to be a Yom Tov itself because of what took place on that day during the times of the Beis Hamikdash. The Jewish people all took their lambs, they slaughtered it, and they roasted it in preparation for being able to sit at the Seder on the night of Pesach and eating the Korban Pesach together with matzah and maror to fulfill the psukim and the instructions delineated in the Torah. The reason why I'm mentioning all this is because that's really the closest we come on a practical level to feeling some connection to Korbanos. This week we begin the third Sefer of the Torah, Webdvar Vayikra, which is called Torah's Kohanim. It's considered to be the laws of the Kohanim. What the Kohanim did in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan, how they prepared and they brought the various Korbanos that were offered on behalf of the Jewish people. And the very first Korban, which represents this connection that Korbanos represented between man and God, is the Korban Olah. And we're told that the Korban Olah is a Korban that is skinned and then cut into pieces. So we say, well, what does that have to do with us? So the Magid Mizlochev Zecher Tzadik Livracha explains as follows. He says, why do we bring Korbanos? Generally speaking, we either bring Korbanos because we're thankful, or we bring Korbanos as a kapara, as an atonement for something that we did. So he says the reason why we are told that we have to skin the Korban is that when we make mistakes in life, we tend to clothe those mistakes by the actions or things that we say, or the actions we take, the words that we say. We try to cover up that which we did. And he says that the objective of a korban, of a sacrifice, is for us to reveal with sincerity and authenticity the mistakes that we have made and ask Hashem to forgive us for it. And so he says that's the reason why we have to skin the animal. To take off the skin, almost as if to take off the covering in which we've covered ourselves, and to reveal the various parts within us that caused us to make the mistake in the first place. How often do we find ourselves thinking about something, and whether we take action or we don't take action, but after the fact, we sort of move on. We may have some regret, but we don't think too much. And what a korban is teaching us on a practical level is that when it comes to the various errors that we make in life, it's important for us not to simply move on, but to take off the clothing that's protecting it on an eternal basis and really look at what caused us, to look at the various parts within us that caused us to have the behavior which we have. And if we're able to do that, if we're able to look internally, if we're able to analyze what brought us in the first place to make the mistake that we did, then ultimately the korban will be effective in that it will bring us closer to Hashem as we move further away from sin. And although we can't bring a korban today, we still strive to become closer to Hashem by virtue of looking at our behavior and trying to make a tikkun, trying to make a connection, so that the next time we are in such a position or such a situation, we're able to learn from the mistakes of the past and hopefully make a better decision for the future, enabling us to feel better about ourselves and obviously to feel closer to Hashem in knowing that Hashem is proud of our actions and continuing to grow with our behavior throughout life. Thank you for listening and have a good Shabbos.